it as a 6-monthly thing or a 3-monthly thing. See it as a long term and get on a Zoom with them. Talk them through your inbox. Share with them all your isms as well. Tell them what your pet hates are. Tell them, I really like things done this way and this is one area that I just can't compromise on, or whatever it is, tell them so that they know. If you have a VA with complete job satisfaction who's very fulfilled, you'll get so much more out of them. It will pay dividends if you treat them well.
Welcome back to the Smart ADHD Podcast. This is episode 2 of the Smart ADHD Guide to Virtual Assistants, and I'm really glad that my friend Sarah Rugg came back to help us delve deeper into the world of VAs and how that can help us as ADHD business owners. She set up Viva, her own VA business, in 2005, and her focus on providing the very best virtual support meant her business grew, and she now heads up a team of over 30 VAs, leading the way with supporting neurodiverse clients. Many of the Viva team are ADHD trained VAs. Let's get on with the show right now. Welcome back, Sarah. It's great to have you back talking about the wonderful world of VAs. How are you doing?
I'm good, and it's great to be back. Thank you.
We're actually recording this on the same day, so it seems a bit weird. But to listeners and viewers, you have gone away and you've come back, and this is a new episode. I found it fascinating and really exciting talking about how VAs can really help those of us with ADHD, but just entrepreneurs, business owners, not just in our business life, but in our personal lives too. So many things to think about. But I think one of the things that I found really difficult, and you alluded to this last episode, and I know that you didn't say that all your customers are control freaks. That's not what you said, but a lot of them say that about themselves, and I definitely say that about myself. I'm a recovering control freak. That's what I am. I'm a recovering perfectionist, and I found it really hard to begin with letting go. My first VA was amazing at that. She was just very helpful at slowly just think, maybe Ian, you could do this, and then I would freak out, and then slowly. Whereas now, I let my VA do pretty much everything, access to my Gmail, to my calendar, all those kind of things. So letting go and delegating can be really hard for those of us, particularly those of us with ADHD. So what are your thoughts and tips on how to move forwards with this? How to dip our toe, and even a year down the line, how do we get better at this?
Something that really resonated with me that a mutual friend of ours, Noel Guilford, said to me recently, and I was thinking, I'm very busy at the moment and I need probably a bit more of a balance. It's crept up on me, and I'm looking to get somebody else to start doing our discovery calls alongside me and potentially then to take over. And I said to him, but no one's going to have be bothered as much as me. No one's going to do it in quite the same way. They might not know what to say. And he turned around to me and he said, yep, you're right. And I was like, okay. He said, absolutely, 100%. No one's going to do it like you do, and they probably won't get the same results. But if you want to grow your business and if you want to take it to the next level, you're going to have to just accept that. And that to me was like, oh yeah, it's obvious, but I hadn't even thought about it like that. So that was I just want to share that in case that resonates with somebody else and helps. But in terms of, from a VA point of view, delegating, I think invest as much time as you can up front. Think of it that you're going to be using this VA for 3 years plus, and have that mindset when you're showing them what to do. So don't see it as a 6-monthly thing or a 3-monthly thing. See it as a long term, and get on a Zoom with them or a Teams or whatever you use. Talk them through your inbox, tell them what's not working. Hopefully, if they're a good VA, they should be asking you all these things as well, but tell them, give them as much information as you possibly can. So that's my first tip. The second tip is share with them all your isms as well. Tell them what your pet hates are. Tell them, I really like things done this way and this is one area that I just can't compromise on, or whatever it is, tell them so that they know. Again, if they're open-minded and a good VA, they'll be used to this and they won't judge, and they'll try and work with it and they'll respect that. And I think the third tip is share your goals, your vision, your dream, wherever you see your business going, share it with them, because they're on this journey with you. And a lot of VAs love being a VA because they might have worked in the corporate world previously, and there was so much red tape to get the slightest thing done. They never really saw a massive difference or felt like they were making a massive difference or were able to change anything. Compare that with working with an entrepreneur is just so liberating. They love it and they feel part of it, and they like to grow with you, so they often see your business as their business. So share that with them, because then they can help you achieve what you want to achieve. They'll understand what your ultimate goal is, and I think that's quite important.
I love that. I love the fact that I think that is so true that they are often very invested in your business. And I like to be invested in them as well. I think it's a two-way thing. I want my virtual assistants to feel happy and, what's the word, affirmed, I suppose, in what they're doing. I think that's really, would you say that's important that it is a two-way thing?
Yeah, definitely. It's if you have a VA with complete job satisfaction who's very fulfilled, you'll get so much more out of them. Definitely. I think it will pay dividends if you treat them well and spend time telling them about all these things that I've gone through, and yeah, just ask the odd question, how was your weekend? It makes the world a difference to them.
And yeah, if you have a happy VA, they're going to be with you longer, I think. And it's just the right thing to do, I think. So, okay, so we've talked about a lot of the positives. There are going to be problems along the way. What are the potential pitfalls in working with a VA? And I suppose I'd ask that question again, but also through the lens of ADHD, particularly for those with ADHD, because an ADHD is very broad. It's a spectrum. There is many different types of ADHD as there are people, but just interested in your thoughts there.
Sure. I think what we see as the biggest pitfall with our clients who have ADHD is that when they go off grid, we're learning more and more now, but in the early days, we didn't know like how often to contact them and how and when to stop. And it was that we now ask every client, if you go, if you don't respond to us, what do you want us to do? And some of them will say, right, okay, you need to first text me. If I don't respond, then WhatsApp me. If I don't respond, then email me. And if not, then ring me. And if I don't respond, ring me a second time. And others will just say, just leave me for 24 hours, 48 hours. I'm probably just having a day where I want to be left alone. And so I think it's just, again, communicating to your VA what you want to happen when you become in, whatever it is, whatever reason you're not responding. It's normally overwhelm or don't know where to start. And the second part of that, most importantly, so your VA can help you, is don't be frightened to say to your VA, I just don't know where to start with this, or I don't know what to do today. I can you help me, please? And VAs are brilliant at taking control and going, okay, let's break this down into bite-sized chunks. Let's do a little step one. Don't worry, or I can take this, you do that. Let's catch up tomorrow, and accountability and all of that. Don't be frightened to just ask your VA for their help. I don't know what to do, don't know where to start. Can you help me? They will be happy to do that, and they'll suggest the best place to start in their opinion. It might not always be what you write or what you want to do, but quite often it is, and it just moves things forward that little bit and makes everything so much less overwhelming.
That's a great reminder, because I see that in my own life, that it's up and down. Now, doesn't matter whether you have ADHD or not. Our lives are up and down, but often it is overwhelming. You mentioned that word, that sometimes I've found that do you know what? I just need a day off. I just need to decompress. And I've found that I don't often communicate that. So I forget to communicate that. And so it's a good reminder, just communication is key with your VA. So like to have a system where your VA might message you, and then if I don't see that, or I've switched everything off, like how's she going to know what to do? So there needs to be a system, and it might be, maybe it's just to wait 24 hours, as you say. But I think that's really important. It's not something I've given much thought to, actually. So something I need to think about. And then I think the other thing is for your VA just to understand a little bit more about the way your brain works. So again, for me, I would tend to heap a lot of guilt on myself because I feel like I'm not doing enough, even though I am, but I tend to do that. So it's, again, having a VA that will understand that. I wanted to ask you a little also about, so this is in the whole idea of letting go. And I think for me, there's the thing that concerned me a lot was the idea of sharing passwords and sensitive information. to begin with. Now I've got a good system, so I know how to do that and I feel okay about it. But at the start, I remember thinking, I'm giving them access to everything here. Like this, they could do some real harm. Or not that I wasn't trusting them, but it's just in my head. I was thinking about all the things that could go wrong. So how do you deal with all those kind of things?
Yeah, sure. As Viva, we don't want access to anything too sensitive. We don't. A couple of clients have said, "Can I give you access to my bank account?" We're like, "No, sorry,
Okay.
I don't." Yeah. And in terms of passwords, I would suggest always use a password manager. We use LastPass. Some people use Dashlane. There's others out there. I'm sure your tech, you'll know all of those. A few of our clients have said, "No, I'm not using LastPass because I think there was a data leak at one point." But as an IT person I know pointed out, they're going to be the most secure of all of them following that data leak. So whichever one it is, they're all free for the basic version, which is all you need. It's just share your passwords through those for your VA. And then what it means is that A, your VA never sees your password as long as you tick or untick the box that says that. And B, most importantly, you can revoke it at any time. So if it's not working and the relationship went, I don't know, bad, it doesn't happen very often, but so let's say worst case scenario, then you can just immediately on your LastPass account, you can just remove the access and they never knew your password in the first place. That's one tip. Also, if you're getting them to your VA to purchase anything on your behalf, I wouldn't ever give them your credit card details ideally, because you're liable at the end of the day for that. I would give them a prepaid card, and then you can obviously only put as much on it as you need them to spend.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and check that they're ICO registered. They need to be following GDPR. A good VA will, or a proper, decent professional VA will do anything sensitive through either WhatsApp, because it's end-to-end encrypted. I know we ask for things like passports through WhatsApp. We would never do them on email, or you password protect stuff that's been sent by email. So just basic GDPR rules. And again, most VAs should have cyber insurance and preferably, can't think of what it's called, the software you put on your computer to stop virus.
Encryption? Antivirus.
Yeah. So some VAs
really
should do all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you need to check that your VA does all those things using a password manager. It probably doesn't matter which one, LastPass, 1Password, Dashlane, whatever it's called. Yeah. Any of those is really good. So the other thing I think for those of us with ADHD that can sometimes be an issue is we've got all these thoughts running around in our head, spinning around. And it's sometimes can be difficult to explain our processes and what's on our minds. Getting it out there can be hard. One thing I've found when I want my VA to do a task, I've found just recording a video of me doing it, sending it over to them. They can then actually convert that into a process that they can rely on later, or another VA in the future could use that as well. But how can VAs maybe help download the information that's in our heads? Do you see what I mean? There's this issue sometimes with that communication side of things.
Yeah, you're a model client. If all of our clients could do a video and say this is how it needs to be done, that's like the absolute perfect. That's amazing. Or show us. The other thing is show us or record a Loom video or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. Other than that, I think it's just making sure that if you are doing a bit of a kind of brain dump, it's just trying to do it a little bit, maybe slowly, and just bear in mind that the VA is probably catching up and they'll be making copious notes and they'll need to put them in some sort of order. And it's just being aware, just being a little bit patient with your VA, and they'll probably ask questions as well just to clarify that they have understood correctly. So yeah, it's just maybe going a bit slowly or asking them to clarify back to you perhaps what their understanding is. You can do it in various different formats. So you could do it on an email, a phone call, a recording, like an audio recording, a voice memo, or however you want. Voice memos are probably quite good for a VA because they can rewind them and play them back and get their head properly around everything and order it. But sometimes a lot of our clients just want, they call it sometimes like a brainstorm, but they just like to have, say, a Zoom or a call just so they can put it in some kind of order in their own brain. So often they will do that brain dump and we'll talk it through and we'll put it into tasks, and those tasks end up on, let's say, Trello or whatever as a result of it. But it's just that extra person to, bounce it off and dump it on and then make sense of it does help some of our clients quite well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for those of us who are verbal processors, and this is one of the things with ADHD, quite often is our prefrontal cortex, which kind of stores all that short-term information. I liken it to it's like an etch a sketch. The information's not going to last very long. So I find that verbal, actually speaking it out, is really helpful, and often it will come out as not quite gibberish, a little bit nonsensical. And so if your VA can really help with that, what I find, so this being a techie, I find there's a little tool that I will use in between those things. So before I go to my VA, I actually use ChatGPT for this now. And there's the voice app on your phone, so you can actually talk to ChatGPT. And so I did this. I was dropping my daughter off in Manchester for a rehearsal, and on the way back, I just had a conversation with ChatGPT. I said, "Look, I've got all these things on my mind. They're all jumbled up. Can you help make sense of it?" And it did. And at the end of it, I got like a checklist, and then I could then take that to my VA, and it made a little bit more sense. So that's maybe another tip that you could use. It certainly doesn't replace your VA at all, but it helps order your thoughts a little bit more. So I don't know if you played around with that, Sarah.
Yeah, I play around with ChatGPT quite a bit, but I've never even thought to do that. That's a brilliant tip, actually. I shall share that with our clients and potential clients going forward. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it is really good. So, just a few final questions, and this is a difficult one because it is: how do you find the perfect VA? I mean, the perfect VA probably doesn't exist, but here, how do we go about finding the VA that's going to be perfect for us?
Yeah. So obviously there's a perfect VA for everyone, and what's yours might not be mine. So I think you just have to check them out online, get a feel for them from the website, from the language they're using, the things they're saying. Do you resonate with them? I think when you speak to them, and I would speak to a few companies, I would get a feel for their attitude as well. I'm not saying that it's black and white, but you do get the VAs who are, well, why should I, be learning new software? I'm going to be paid. If I'm going to learn Trello, you need to pay me for that. And then you've got the ones that are going, oh, I've always wanted to use Trello. It's another string to my bow. That's brilliant. And so you've got that sort of, you've got the different attitudes. You want someone with a really good attitude, because you want you don't want a VA saying, no, that can't be done. You got to, and I say to my team all the time, never ever say no to a client unless it's really unreasonable, because that they don't want to hear no. So you want someone with a really good attitude, like a can-do attitude, and go with a gut feel as well. So I think when you speak to people, there's some things you can't ever put into words. It's just a gut feel. Go with it. I always say, go with your gut feel in any situation, and this one is no exception. I think as well, just that there's a couple of things which people might not even think of, but there are VA companies out there who don't offer a very personalised service. For example, I know there's one VA company out there where, if you were their client and said, can you book me a train, it would get thrown into this like pool, and there's these people working from home, and it's like first come first served, so it's like first fingers on the buzzer type thing. So you don't have a dedicated VA. Make sure that you would be given a dedicated VA. That's so important. And also just check that they are going to flex to you. Again, some VA companies have their own software and they insist that you have to use it. Nobody wants to have to learn, they're busy enough, have to learn new software and have to change all their systems to that. So just make sure that they're not going to make you use their way of doing things. Make sure that they work around you rather than the other way around. And finally, I think if you do have ADHD, I would really recommend that you go to a VA who's got ADHD experience, because otherwise the amount of clients that come to us saying it's not worked out with my previous VA, and when you ask a few questions about that, it turns out really that person has never dealt with anyone with ADHD before. They've not had any training. They don't really understand it. So I think it's important that you're understood.
I think that's absolutely vital, and I'll come back to you on that because I want to ask you a few more questions on that. But so Viva, which is your company, it's a company where you offer a wide selection of VAs, and the advantage with that is that you've got lots of VAs that will specialize in different things. So you could go for more of a general VA, but if you want some help with maybe more social media or bookkeeping, then you could potentially have more than one VA. You could have two VAs, or you've got that flexibility. And presumably if your VA goes away on holiday or vacation, you have backup VAs that can take over the job, and there's that side of things. Whereas you could go and work with just hire a VA privately, and that's just one VA. And then, of course, there's the other question, which is, where is your VA located? So I'm assuming in your case, all your VAs are based in the UK and your clients are in the UK. There are some US-based ones who are just US. And then there's also ones that are worldwide, particularly there's quite a big VA industry in the Philippines as well. And they all have different, there was obviously lots of different prices and all that kind of thing. So you can start to, when you go down this rabbit hole, you can begin to think, oh my goodness, there's so many things to think about. Could you maybe just briefly touch on that? What are the pros and cons with the different ways of doing this? I know you've touched on it a little bit, but for people, for me, having somebody who was based in the UK, and I've also got a US based one as well, has been perfect for me because I think the time zone thing as well, but there's lots of other things. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure. There's all sorts of issues with using VAs overseas, but there's also loads of benefits, like you said, as well. So what we tend to do at Viva is if somebody's using multiple VAs, maybe overseas, we're asked to coordinate it so they don't have to. So we might be coordinating a tech VA in India who does like web stuff, with somebody in the Philippines who does copy, with somebody else that does SEO. And so we'll often coordinate that and make sure that everything is pulled together in one place. So I think there's some brilliant skills out there. It's just, I think it's harder to find somebody unless they're recommended overseas, because I've tried, than it is in the UK. There are, I don't know if you've, mind you, American, you won't have seen this, but sometimes there's different cultural differences, which can mean there's misunderstandings, and so there can be issues. But I think if you can get like your main VA to coordinate the expert VAs who you pull in, who are either recommended or you're very happy with because you found someone good, I think it works really well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if you can meet them in person, that's not always if they're overseas, but my US based one, Tonya, we actually knew each other. We met each other beforehand. So that was perfect. So yeah, it's a lot to think about. So you touched on this, having a VA that understands your neurodiversity or ADHD. And this is something I know you've thought about a lot in your business, and we've talked about it quite a bit. So how important do you think that your VA should be trained in ADHD, or they at least understand all of that? I was going to ask, do they exist? But of course, I've already said that they do exist, because this is something that you've talked about VAs who understand this. Yeah, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, we train all of our new VAs now. They go through ADHD training because to me it's really important. If your VA is not trained, I think if they've got direct experience of dealing with somebody who has ADHD, whether that's a family member or whatever, I think that's not necessarily the same, but maybe the next best thing. But I think somebody going into it with absolutely no experience of anyone with ADHD and no training, I just think I've seen it not work so much, which is why a lot of clients come to us, because it's not worked. I'm sure it can work in some situations, but I think it's really important that there's at least the experience as a minimum, but preferably the training. We have our training with Max Lawrence, and his training is very specifically for virtual assistants who are going to be supporting clients with ADHD. So it's very specific, and it's very useful for us and for my team. I've been on it. It's great.
Yeah, no, that's great. In fact, I actually haven't spoken to Max Lawrence. I found him on the interwebs, but I have to see if he can come on the show, because that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd love to.
Yeah, definitely. We've run out of time. Thank you so much. So I really appreciate your time. I feel we've only scratched the surface. There's probably so many more things that we could talk about, but I hope that's really, for you watching and listening, I hope that you've learned loads there. If you have any questions, do reach out to me. My email is ian@smartadhd.me, and we'll cross the interwebs and the socials. And of course, do get in touch with Sarah. Where's the best place for people to get in touch with you, Sarah?
They can email me directly if they like. So it's Sarah with an H at vi-va.co.uk. Or if you want to know more, probably our website is the best place to go. So it's vi-va.co.uk.
That's cool. Are you on the socials at all? Do you tend to hang out somewhere?
Yes, I am on social media. I'm sorry, I should have been prepared enough to know all the. But we are on.
It'll be on the show notes. I'm not asking you to come out with them all because there's so many different things. Do check out the show notes there. Just go to smartadhd.me. All the information will be there. Thanks so much, Sarah. It's been great to have you back on.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you, Ian.
Awesome. Thank you so much for plugging us into your ears or watching us on the YouTube. But until next time, I encourage you to be smart with your ADHD. Toodaloo.